Welcome to a new week here on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Micciche. Now, this week on the podcast, I am on vacation. So instead of the regular daily episodes you're used to, I'm just doing one longer episode for this week. But don't worry, I'll be back with daily episodes like you're used to in next week's theme. So I'm on vacation this week. My husband, my kids, my sister, her husband, their 2 kids, my parents. It's going to be 12 of us in one house together for an entire week. I am very excited. I've been looking forward to this, but also deathly afraid at the same time. Vacationing with family is a lot different than vacationing with friends. And as I talk to clients, especially in the years approaching retirement, and then in the first 5 years, especially the first 5 years of retirement, those years are often filled with lots of travel. And so these topics of travel, especially travel and money, come up actually fairly often. And I had a client recently, they were lamenting about how hard it was to find friends to travel with. And it's no surprise, it is very tricky when you think about all of the factors that go into what makes a good travel companion. So you have to agree on everything from the money aspect, like how much are you going to spend? Where are you going to stay? Even like the pace of travel. This is a very interesting one, and I didn't think about it until recently, but I get pretty exhausted chasing my kids around all day. So I don't want to go all day. I'm okay with doing 1, maybe even 2 activities if it's not too much, but I find that I'm completely exhausted if I try to push myself too much. Some people, they don't mind walking 20 miles a day in a new city, and other people are like, yeah, let's go to breakfast and then hang out by the pool the rest of the day. And I'm probably more towards the latter. I like to relax on vacation. Food decisions. Are you going to eat out at expensive restaurants for every meal? Are you going to go to the grocery store and get Cheerios and milk and have that for 2 meals a day? What are the kinds of things that you enjoy doing for activities? So finding a travel couple or another person to travel with is very challenging when you try to match all of those preferences, likes, dislikes, and how you envision spending your time on vacation. So that can be a real challenge. But this podcast is about finances. So today I want to talk about a few tips that I have for traveling with friends and not letting money, specifically money. Now, lots of things can ruin your trip or worse, ruin your friendship, but we don't want that thing to be money. So we're going to talk about that today. Now, if you're new to the podcast, a little bit about me. I'm a financial advisor, co-owner of True North Retirement Advisors, a fee-only fiduciary financial advisory practice managing over $425 million in client assets. And for the last 17 years, almost 18 years now, I'm actually coming up on a new work anniversary, which is hard to believe. If I was born the year I started being a financial advisor, I would almost be of legal age. I could vote almost. Okay. For 17, almost 18 years, I've helped clients retire. And my goal on this podcast is to simplify all the complexities of retirement planning so you can focus on what truly matters, enjoying your retirement years while maintaining financial security. Okay, let's get into my tips for how to travel with friends and not let money be a source of conflict that can ruin your trip or worse, ruin your friendship. So tip number 1, now this is one that might ruffle some feathers, but if you actually look at it, you see it, people do this all the time. You want to travel with friends of similar means and income. And if you're not going to do that, then you must be willing to travel at the budget of whoever it is in that relationship that has the lower incomes, the lower budget, who can't spend as much. And this can be a source of conflict for a lot of things because what you envision for where you want to stay, where you want to eat, the types of activities, like this adds up very quickly. It's interesting because I think about my own life. Some of my closest friends and the people that I love the most and would want to travel with the most are people that I've met and known over many, many years through my church. Now, church environment is really unique because it's a place where people come together and there is a wide range of demographics, ages, backgrounds, socioeconomic status, income. They all come together and share this common set of values and beliefs. And so what you find is that I become friends with people, all ages, backgrounds, everything. It's a beautiful thing. But if you were to travel with, say, church friends or work friends or people who you know who aren't at a similar income level as you, then it can create a lot of friction. You might have a friend that you're traveling with who maybe they can only afford a Holiday Inn Express or similar, but you want to stay at the Ritz-Carlton. You're going to need to be willing to make that budget choice and be happy about it. And that's the key, because you don't want to try to push the lower income person up into spending, because that's just going to stress them out. And something that I always stress about money when I travel, it's one of the reasons why I don't travel more often. I mean, primarily because I have 4 kids. I mean, who would do that? But mostly because I really do not like spending money. I'm not broke, but I am cheap. And so all this damn money that I end up spending all day, every day when I travel. Perfect example, we just went to Seattle. We drove up there. It's about a 3.5 hour drive from where we live. And we had a great time. It was 2 days and actually only one night. But I wanted to stay in a really centrally located hotel that was close to everything. I mean, we were within 5 blocks of like 300 restaurants right down on the water. So of course, if you want that location, you have to pay a lot of money for the hotel. So I spent a lot of money on the hotel, spent a lot of money on the gas. We ate out. My kids did the giant, it's called the Great Wheels, this big Ferris wheel looking thing that goes out all the way over the water, which is terrifying but fun. And if I add everything up for the 2-day, 1-night trip with everything we did, it was probably between $800 and $1,000. That's because my husband and I went. We took our 2 older kids. There were 4 of us. We crammed a few things in because they had never been to Seattle before. They were super excited, but it's a lot of money and it adds up very quickly. I mean, we were in Seattle for less than 24 hours and we spent that much money. So when you're traveling with friends, you want to make sure that no one is stressing about spending too much money because it adds up very quickly. And that brings me to my next point, is that you need to talk about all of this before you commit to anything. Not just before you go on your trip, but you need to iron out all the details, make sure you're on the same page when it comes to the budget, but also everything else, because where you decide to stay, how you plan to get there, everything is connected to a money decision. Activities. I was talking to a friend today and we were talking about golf. She doesn't golf, but I don't know how it came up. Probably because I just like golf and talk about golf, eat, breathe, sleep golf. But I was talking about how a number of years ago, my husband and I went down and played Pebble Beach. And the cost for 1 round of golf at Pebble Beach is astronomical. But it is arguably one of the most gorgeous golf courses in the entire world. If you love golf like I do and you do it once, it's money well spent. But many other people would be like, that is a huge waste of money. I don't want to do anything like that. But you want to have detailed conversations about your budget specifically, again, before you commit and book anything. Having similar wants and desires like golf, you're taking time off of work, you might be burning through precious vacation days. So there's a lot of pressure. I feel that you better have a good time on vacation, because if you have a bad time, it's a huge, colossal waste of time, money, vacation days. It's super depressing if you go on a bad vacation. I mean, sometimes the stories are worth it later, but when you're there in the moment, it's like, why did I do this? Why I'm torturing myself? So things like, where are you going to stay? Where are you going to eat? Are you going to eat out a lot? Are you going to try to be economical and try to buy groceries? And is your lodging situation accommodative of that? Does it have a fridge? Are you just going to get some granola and yogurt at the grocery store for breakfast most days? Or are you going to go out for a lazy brunch with champagne and mimosas and all of that? So those are very different budgets and very different decisions. And of course, like golf activities, what are you going to do? What is that going to look like? How much are you going to spend on those other things? Another thing to iron out before you commit to anything is how you're going to pay for things, who's going to pay for what, how are you going to split expenses? Are you always going to pay separately for everything? Or are you going to rotate like, oh, I'll pay for this and you pay for that? One of the interesting things, I actually read an article about this, about traveling with friends recently, and it was talking about how in friendships, equality is very important. No one wants to feel taken advantage of, but it can also be awkward if you have a friend who is always paying for everything. It's very different than romantic relationship where maybe that's a lot more lopsided in terms of who's paying for what, but equality is more important and it goes both ways. It can feel awkward when like your friend is always paying for everything and you don't get a chance to pay or reciprocate. That can feel weird and could create friction and problems. And so there's lots of apps now that make splitting costs for things a lot easier. My third tip is to do a trial run, or if you are like gung-ho about wanting to travel with another couple or a friend and you haven't done it yet, then pick something that is low maintenance and doesn't require a lot of planning or individual decisions. The place to start that I think is perfect is just doing a day trip. You don't even need to go anywhere or stay anywhere overnight. You can start in the morning, get some lunch somewhere, go do an activity, walk around, see what their energy level is like. Can they last an entire day? If you're like a go, go, go kind of person, how do you resolve disagreements? Are they type A? See, I'm super type A, so I'm going to give my opinion. But I also really want to be considerate of other people's needs. So you want a good travel companion who's not going to be like completely just insisting on their own way all the time, or a complete pushover who never has an opinion about anything. I mean, maybe you might like that. I don't know. I wouldn't. I want that give and take where everybody gets to enjoy and has a say in what is done on a vacation. The next level up would be, do a weekend trip somewhere. We live super close to the beach. So I've actually been wanting to do a weekend beach trip with friends for quite a while. And I was going to do it for my birthday. Don't tell my friends that I was planning it and then decided not to. I just ran out of energy and didn't feel like doing it, but someday. But yeah, just go somewhere close. It's just a couple of nights. So it's not a huge commitment. You're not taking a trip to Europe or spending thousands of dollars where it might not work out. And my husband and I did this. We took a trip to the beach with another couple that we were friends with. This was many, many years ago. I realized pretty quickly that we had very different ideas of what we wanted to do. So every day of my entire life as an adult, I wake up super early. I wake up somewhere between 5 and 6 a.m. And on vacation, I don't really want to sleep in. Now, I know other people are on vacation. They don't have to get up and go to work. So it's like, yeah, I would like to not wake up at 6 a.m., which I get. But this couple who was friends of ours, I didn't see them till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm like, where have you been? And so I was irritated because we were going to do things with them. We were like that day we were going to go fishing, and I was mad because I wanted to fish in the morning. I thought we were going to fish in the morning, and we basically just wasted the entire day because we didn't even get going until the afternoon, and I didn't know where the heck they were. I never wanted to travel with them again because their idea of what they wanted to do and when was very different than mine. I would have been done by lunch and then would have gone on to do something else in the afternoon. I was in my early 20s, so it probably would have involved drinking. But you could also do a cruise. You could go to an all-inclusive resort. You could do a guided tour. These are nice because there's a lot of things built in and not a lot of individual decisions where you kind of get stuck in this, I don't know, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? There's a lot less friction over money when you go on something where everything's sort of built into the cost. I went to the Holy Land in 2019 and I did it with a tour group, and I went by myself. I knew no one, but lots of other people on this trip, they were there with friends and other couples and, mom and her daughter. So there were lots of different pairings of different people who were traveling with friends or relatives. And they had a great time because all the activities are planned for you. You're just along for the ride. You're not making individual decisions about, oh, I don't really want to go to see this church or this museum, because it's like everybody's going. And if you're not going to go, you're just going to stay in the bus. So even if you can agree on like what the destination is and what you're going to do, but do a guided tour, that can be a great way to kind of ease into traveling with somebody where you're not going to have a lot of friction about or disagreements about money. And you're not going to have hopefully a lot of disagreements at all. And then the last tip that I have is to set some ground rules about opting out of things. So I think that on vacation, it's nice to do a lot of things together, but you want to make sure you talk about this beforehand. Because some people, I'm very extroverted. I love being around people, but sometimes it can be a little much. And I just want some quiet time to not talk to anybody, read a book, go do my own thing. But if I'm out and about and I'm out in a city or I'm out at the pool or I like being around other people, but sometimes I just need to check out and not do something. Or I don't want to go out to dinner tonight. I would rather just stay in and have a sugar packet or two. Sometimes you're just like, man, things are really adding up. I really just want to lay low tomorrow and not do much of anything and not spend any extra money. I think it's important to have that flexibility so that someone can say no to an expensive activity like a golf outing or a spa day or something, a really expensive fancy dinner out. I think if you follow some of these tips, you can see it's not just about money. Money is involved in every decision that you're making about travel. But I think it's important if you can follow some of these tips, communicate openly, keep others' needs in mind as well as your own wants and desires, then you can minimize a lot of conflicts and awkwardness when it comes to traveling with friends and hopefully not letting money or friction over money ruin the trip. All right. Thanks for joining me today. Wish me luck. I'm in close quarters with my family for a week. And hopefully, if you hear new episodes from me next week, that meant that I survived. Maybe I'm scarred. I'll be scarred, probably scarred, but survived. And that's what matters. All right. My name is Ashley Micciche, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast.